This is the 2017 Shelby GT350. Now the GT350 was a more track-oriented version of a regular 5-liter Mustang, and for the first time Ford used a flat-plane crank V8 engine. Now this engine made 526 horsepower and 429 foot-pounds of torque, and is a flat-plane crank V8, meaning this engine revs all the way to almost 8,500 RPM, so it's a very high revving engine, and Ford only used this engine in the GT350. Now this is based off of the traditional 5-liter V8 that Ford's been using for quite some time, but again they did add that flat-plane crank as well as an additional horsepower. On top of that, this engine was also only available with a 6-speed manual transmission. Not only was it 6-speed, but it was also a Tremec made unit, so it was a very, very well-built transmission, and it was specifically made for this car. Now this particular GT350 is a 2017 model finished in shadow black, and it was brought to us by a customer of ours and is for sale here at McPhee Ford. Now we're going to take a quick walk around the outside here, and then we're going to take a look into the interior, and then we'll hear what this thing sounds like. Now this Shelby was built on the S550 platform, which was introduced for the 2015 model year, and the first Shelby was introduced for 2016. So just 1 year later, Ford introduced our first Shelby built model. Now this is a more track-oriented version of a Mustang, so we do have more aggressive aerodynamics, and Ford also incorporated a little Shelby logo there in the lower front lip. Now Ford actually made 2 different versions of the GT350. There was the standard GT350 like we have here, and they also made the R. So the GT350R was a much more track-oriented version, much more raw version of the GT350. It introduced a industry-first carbon fiber wheel. So carbon fiber wheel, which was a first time that's been used on a production vehicle. It also had more aggressive aerodynamics and a carbon spoiler. Now the R did not actually make more power, but it was much more capable on the track, especially with the carbon fiber wheels. We actually have one of those for sale here at McPhee Ford, so if you are interested in an R, we do also have those. So we actually have both the R and the non-R, so if you're interested, we do also have one of those available. But we'll continue on to the rest of the model here, where we do have these 19-inch aluminum wheels. It's wrapped in a 295/35 tire, and the rear is slightly wider at a 305/35, and it's in a Pilot Super Sport tire, so it's a nice track-capable summer performance tire. And we do also have the 6-piston Brembo brake system. And we'll keep moving along the side here, where we do have the GT350 logo there in the fender, and we also have a nice air vent here as well, which is functional. It does escape air from the brakes and the wheel well to help with brake cooling. So that's a nice, cool little touch there. And there's also some nice aerodynamics that run along the side skirt there. Now the Shelby model is only offered as a fastback or a coupe, so you could not get a convertible option. And this one is in that full black color. There was multiple different colors. There was also different stripe options, but this kind of has that sort of triple black look, which I think looks fantastic. We also have a nice little splitter up, or a little spoiler up here, a little duckbill spoiler. And again, those rear tires are slightly wider at a 305/35. We have the LED sequential turn signal and taillight combination here, as well as a nice quad tip exhaust. Rear view camera right up there. And we'll kind of move along to the final side here. This car is in tremendously clean condition. The previous owner did take very, very good care of it, and it's only offered with just under 2,500 kilometers on it, so it's very low kilometers for a 2017. And again, the previous owner did take very, very good care of it. But we'll take a look into the interior. We do have the intelligent access door handle. Now this one does have the Recaro seat option. There were actually 2 different seats available. There was a sort of standard cloth seat, which was much more comfortable, but this was a more desirable seat, the Recaro bucket seats. Now these are Alcantara suede and cloth, so they're very lightweight. Ford built it that way. That's why they are full manual. The Recaros are manual just to save weight, and they do look super, super cool. We also have the GT350 logo there stitched into the headrest, and also a nice Ford Performance door sill plate. And even on the door panel, we do have some more of that Alcantara suede material. Again, it's a very lightweight material, so Ford used that kind of wherever they could. Of course, we have all your power controls on the door as well, and the automatic headlights. But now we'll take a look into the interior a little bit closer. Now the key fob was made specifically for the Shelby model. We do have the Shelby logo there on the back, and also the trunk release on there. And the steering wheel is nice suede wrapped as well, with the leather bottom and also the leather 12 o'clock position. So it is a suede steering wheel, which is meant to be more grippy when you're on the track. So if your hands get sweaty, it's meant to stay grippy compared to it. A traditional leather would become slippery. This is meant to kind of keep that grip when you're going around the track. We do have the Cobra logo there on the metal of the steering wheel. But without further ado, we will fire up that 5.2 liter V8. And there is an exhaust mode switch right here. Sport exhaust mode really changes up the sound of this GT350. But without further ado, we'll give you a listen to this beautiful sounding V8 engine. In my opinion, this is one of the best, if not the best sounding V8 engines you can buy, especially when it revs all the way to 8,200 RPM. So very high revving. This is actually a technology that a lot of Ferraris use, is that flat plane crank, which is why you hear Ferraris rev so high. This Mustang does that exact same thing. And again, beautiful 6-speed manual transmission manufactured by Tremec. Now on the steering wheel, we do have some controls here. Now on the nice suede steering wheel, again, we do have some controls. So we have on this left side controls for the center screen right there, which gives you a lot of different vehicle info. And you also have some Shelby specific information like track apps, which you can set up the line lock system. We also have a launch control. You can also change that exhaust mode. You have a shift light, acceleration timers, lap timers, brake timers, all the timers, so you can mess around with that. We also have some various settings in here as well you can screw around. And we also have the phone and media controls, your volume, and down here is your drive modes, which we can cycle through, which includes normal, sport, weather, track, and drag strip. We also have different suspension modes, which includes normal and sport, and then steering modes. For the steering modes, you have normal, sport, and comfort, which will change the stiffness of the steering wheel. And in the middle here, we do have the electronics package. So we do have the Sync 3 8-inch display, which was the largest screen that you can get for the GT350. It features Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We also have the navigation system. So you have built-in navigation, all your various different little settings in here. And you can also access your climate through the screen, or you can use the buttons down here, so whichever you prefer. On top of the screen, we do have your oil pressure as well as the oil temperature. So Ford did incorporate the auxiliary gauge pack in all GT350 models. And then moving down here, we do have, again, your climate control system, which is dual zone. So you actually have dual zone climate control, which is nice, as well as the rear defrost. And then we move down here where we do have some cool switches. So we have that red engine start stop button, which I think looks fantastic. We also have your hazard lights, traction control, which is definitely important. You also have your launch control, as well as the exhaust valve. So you can cycle through various different modes, again, with the exhaust, normal and sport. Which, if you're driving this car, you should be definitely driving in sport. It sounds fantastic. And again, the Tremec 6-speed manual, which does have a cool red accent here. Traditional H pattern shift, manual parking brake, which is nice leather wrapped as well. And again, those beautiful Recaro bucket seats. And the GT350 does have rear seats. Now, one thing to note, the R version of the GT350 did not have rear seats. Ford actually did a delete, which did actually get rid of these seats completely just to save weight. So if you buy the R, you do lose the rear seat here. Now, it is not particularly large. Of course, you don't have much space. This is a two-door sports car, so you couldn't expect much. But these actually are Alcantara lined, so they are nice, lightweight, regardless. But they are back here if you need them in a pinch. But we'll come around to the trunk area, where this particular model does include the factory Shelby car cover. So we have the car cover. It's very soft. It's an outdoor cover, so you can keep it inside or outside, whichever you prefer. And also these rear seats do fold down as well. So if you're interested in this particular GT350, again, this vehicle is in fantastic shape and will certainly make a great home. If you're interested, you can give us a call or visit us at mcpheeford.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.